Hey, what's up everybody, this is GalacticJerry, and today I'm bringing you a couple of matches that I have for the Battle of Hoenn online competition for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So pretty much you can only use Pokemon found in the Hoenn Pokédex, so my options were limited, and I haven't really completed this game. I only have 7 badges, so I don't have that many Mega Stones or items. So I had to make a last minute team over on my copy of Pokemon X and transfer them to my copy of Omega Ruby. And of course I didn't really have that many Mega Stones. I wanted to try out some other different Mega Evolution Pokemon, but I ended up using Metagross as my Mega Evolution Pokemon because that was one of the stones I had in this game. And you're also limited to the Pokemon that are found in the Hoenn Pokédex. But anywho, the Pokemons I brought for this tournament were pretty much the ones you see in the thumbnail, but just in case you didn't see the thumbnail, it's a Dusclops, a Gardevoir, a Metagross, a Swampert. Let me see what my other ones were. A Swampert, a Crobat, and an Azumarill. So yeah, those were the 6 Pokemon that I brought. But for this match, it's single battles, but you can only choose 3 Pokemon to use in each battle. So for this first battle, this is actually my first battle that I had. For this battle, I'm bringing a Dusclops, a Gardevoir, a Metagross, and my opponent was bringing a Frostlass, a Manectric, and a Sceptile. So let's go ahead and press play on this thing and see how it goes. Let's see if I remember. I wanted to record this live, but something it could take a while. So yeah, my opponent leads out with the Sceptile, and I lead out with the Dusclops. I led off with the Dusclops because I think I saw a lot of physical attackers on his team, saying I know my Dusclops has Will-O-Wisp. But my opponent Mega evolved the Sceptile into Mega Sceptile, so it's now Grass Dragon type, and so at this point I wish I had an Ice type Pokemon. But Sceptile goes for the Leech Seed, so it's going to be really annoying. So I go with the Will-O-Wisp just to burn him, and that way he can take some damage at the end of each turn. But with this Leech Seed, it's going to be really annoying. So I think at this point I decide to switch out Pokemon. Yeah, I do decide to switch out. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not too familiar with the new Mega Evolution Pokemon because I haven't really had much practice. I'm still kind of rusty. But I ended up switching out to my Gardevoir. I traced the Lightning Rod, but it's not going to be no good. Sceptile goes for the Toxic, and of course lands it. So yeah, I ended up switching out to my Gardevoir because my Gardevoir has a Moonblast, which is going to be super effective if I'm able to land a hit. So then, finally decides to do an attack and gets a critical hit, but it's not going to do much. So yeah, I go with the Moonblast, and it's able to take down the Sceptile, the Mega Sceptile actually. It wasn't even a critical hit, so... then again, my Gardevoir is a modest nature one. And for the EVs, I don't think I maxed that out, but I did invest some EVs in the special attack. But unfortunately I am poisoned, so I'm going to be taking more and more damage from the... Okay, so then my opponent switches out into Manectric and goes for the switcheroo. And I obtained a choice picks, and of course he gets the leftovers. But at least I'm able to get the Will-O-Wisp out. But of course I'm going to need to switch out because I'm not going to be able to do any more moves because I'm locked into Will-O-Wisp at this point. Choice Picks are not a bad item to have on Gardevoir when you think about it, because it is a special attacker. But then I ended up switching out into my Metagross. So my opponent goes with a Thunder Fang. It's not going to do much because Metagross has a pretty high defense stat as it is. At this point I was hoping this Manectric didn't have any fire type moves because that would have done a lot of damage to my Metagross, of course. So yeah, then I decided to Mega Evolve. I knew I wasn't going to be faster this turn because I gotta wait until the next turn to be faster. So yeah, of course the Manectric does have a fire type move and goes with the Overheat. At this point I was really hoping I was going to survive, which I do barely. So I am able to get the Power Up Punch just to get the attack boost. And I know this turn I'm going to be faster because I am running a Jolly Max Speed Metagross, and naturally Mega Metagross is faster than Manectric. So, you know, knowing how much damage Power Up Punch did, and knowing that my attack increased by 1 stage, I know this next Power Up Punch was going to be enough to take down the Manectric. So, you know, I take advantage of that, and I'm able to boost my attack to +2. So then I go, and my opponent goes off with the Frostlass, and I wasn't too sure of Frostlass base speed, so I went with the Bullet Punch. And you know, it's going to be super effective because this Frostlass is part Ice type, so you know, I was able to take the win for this one. Let me go ahead and show you one more battle. This is the second battle that I have for this tournament. And okay, for this battle, it's an opponent named Steven, and he's bringing a Blaziken, an Aggron, and a Gardevoir. And over on my team, I decided to bring the Dusclops, the Swampert, and the what do you call it, the Gardevoir. I just said it. I'm not sure why I decided to bring this. Didn't even decide to bring my Metagross. Maybe because I was afraid of that Blaziken, you know, the fire type moves. So yeah, so I brought the Dusclops and Gardevoir because they both have Will-O-Wisp, and I think that would have come in handy because I saw a lot of physical attackers on his team. So you know, my opponent leads out with the Gardevoir, and I lead out with the Dusclops again, expecting a physical attacker. But you know, my Gardevoir's opponent has the ability to trace, and it's able to trace the pressure, but it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. So you know, Gardevoir goes with the Shadow Ball, and it's able to do a decent amount of damage, but not half. So I know I can at least take another hit, just as long as it's not she doesn't land a critical hit. So I go with the Will-O-Wisp just to get the burn. And at this point I decided to switch out because I need my good Dusclops just to be able to land another Will-O-Wisp on another of his Pokemon. So then I go into my own Gardevoir, because I know my Gardevoir has Protect, so I'll be able to stall him out a little bit at least. So yeah, then he goes for the Shadow Ball, and it's not able to do half, so I know I'll be able to take another hit. That is, if my opponent doesn't land the critical hit. So yeah, I do have leftovers as well. So then I use Protect, like I said, just try to stall him out so the burn can do a little more damage. And you know, my opponent keeps using Shadow Ball. Yeah, I think this turn, you know, since I don't want to risk going for another Protect, I decided to attack because I knew I was going to be able to take another Shadow Ball. And you know, so the burn is slowly taking down this Gardevoir. So then my opponent is faster. He goes for the Shadow Ball, and of course manages to land the critical hit. So at this point, I think I figured as much as I was going to lose this battle. But you know, let's see what else. And then I decided to go over to my Swampert. This Swampert is maxed out in the special defense department. So okay, so this pretty much confirmed that this Gardevoir was not choice picks or anything like that. But then I go with the Earthquake, and I'm able to land a critical hit. I'm not sure if it was going to be enough if it wasn't for the critical hit. But then my opponent goes with the Blaziken. You know, I should have predicted a Protect, and I should have gone with the Curse just to get the attack boost and the defense boost as well. So you know, I went with the Earthquake instead. So you know, Blaziken is obviously going to be faster, and it goes for the high jump kit, and of course it doesn't miss. And it's able to take down me Swampert, of course. And it's also, I think it's also running a Life Orb. Yes, it's also running a Life Orb. So you know, this Blaziken is going to do a lot of damage. Even if I would have been able to get the Curse off and get the defense boost, I'm not sure if it was going to be enough. But then I can switch on to my last Pokemon, Dusclops, and my opponent goes with the Flare Blitz, and doesn't really do as much as I expected it. But then again, this Dusclops is running the Biolite max defense, whatever. So then I go with the Pain Splits just to try to regain some HP, and that way the Blaziken can lose some HP as well. And I was expecting that he was going to do another Flare Blitz, and of course going to take some recoil damage from the Life Orb and the Flare Blitz, of course. And I managed to survive 1 HP, so I take advantage of that and go with the Nightshade. So at least I was able to get defeat 2 of his Pokemons. But you know, then he sends out the last Pokemon, the Aggron. Unless for some reason he decides to go for a move and misses. Because this turn I decided to use a Pain Split just to, of course, regain some HP. But of course, you know, it goes for the Iron Head, and I don't really expect my Dusclops to outspeed anyone. So yeah, down goes my Dusclops, and I lose the battle, unfortunately, you know. Man, maybe I should have brought my Metagross just to have some just to have an Mega Evolution Pokemon out there. But you know, it is what it is. It was a fun battle. I hope you enjoyed these two battles. I'll try to keep this video as short as possible. But you know, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But for the meantime, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next video that I upload. Yes.